Celtic fans view this afternoon. Shin Yamada is a player that is of interest at Celtic, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I think that he's a player that fits the bill, and he's a player that there's a big chance that Celtic will go after in this window. Good afternoon to Kaiser, Jack Ryan, and a few others that are in the chat already. But Shin Yamada is a striker, and I think that Celtic will go for him because they've had success with Kyogo, they've had success with Daisen Maeda, they've had success with Rio Hatate. This guy fits the bill. This guy is coming in. It's coming in as cheap as chips when it comes to it, but I think that is potentially an upgrade on Kyogo Furiashi because of his physicality. He's a player that doesn't get knocked about as much as I know Kyogo was always in the wars in the SPFL, but this guy just seems to have that little bit more than what Kyogo had, and I think that he's a player that could come into Celtic and we will forget all about Kyogo Furiashi if it does happen. Now, the Japanese season is of a lull, and the time could be just right. Now, Celtic have got an abundance of strikers at the club at the moment, which is strange for Celtic. So there will be conversations, obviously, with players going in and out. And I noticed that a certain mainstream media guy has been talking about all the players that's going to leave Celtic. Now, anybody that watches this channel will know that I've been talking about these players since last season. I've spoke about every single one of them, and I've spoke about the fact that every single one of these players were potentially on their way out of Celtic. Now, he spoke about the clear out at Celtic. And he spoke about, obviously, Matthew Anderson's left, Daniel Cummins is left, Gustav Lagerbielke, he wants out the club, Lewis Palmer, Celtic want rid of him, Marco Tilio, it's unsure what Celtic will do with him, he is back at training at Celtic Park. Stephen Welsh, although he captained the side the other night, he will feel that he in his career can do better by leaving Celtic. And then there's Nico Kuhn, who's already left Celtic, and then there's Kwon, who's been out on loan for the last couple of seasons at Hibernian. Then there's Yang, that I don't think is up to it, but even though that Celtic have a sniff with Legia Warsaw looking at the player. And then there's Johnny Kenny. What will Celtic do with Johnny Kenny? Celtic have said that it might be better for Johnny Kenny's development if he goes out to another club on loan for the next season. Celtic do not want to sell him. He's not part of the ones that Celtic want rid of altogether. He's a player that Celtic want to go out and develop. When it comes to the rest of them, it's players that were out on loan last year. They weren't in the first team picture, and they're certainly not going to be in the first team picture going forward. So, with that being said, Jesus, just tell me when the game's finished. What's the odds of Yang going to Birmingham? I'm not too sure of that one. I don't think that Yang will go there on loan. I think that, he could be sold, but could he go there on loan? Is a loan deal going to be good enough for Yang? I think that because there has been interest in Yang already, and Celtic are reportedly wanting a price between 3 and 4 million for Yang. You've got to remember, we've got £3 million for O, and O was a bit part player at the club. Now that comes down to that. This comes to the next part of the bit that I'm talking about in this video is Shin Yamada. He had a very emotional farewell in a game yesterday, and there's a lot of speculation that it was a goodbye. it was a goodbye. There was tears and hugs and also exchanged. Could it be the fact that he is about to leave and he's about to come to Celtic? And it would fall into what Celtic have done already in this transfer window. And is it the case that what we're misunderstanding about what's going on at Celtic, and what we are missing the point with Paul Tisdale and Sean Maloney and Brendan Rodgers, when he's been speaking to the media the last couple of days, talking about pathways and talking about the integration with Tisdale and Sean Maloney and what they can bring to the table and what they're going to be doing with players that we bring in. There seems to be two things going on at Celtic just now, and it looks like that we're turning into the type of club like a lot of European clubs over the last 10 years. A lot of European clubs have been going out and buying some of the best youngsters that they see with potential to move on. And it looks like that Celtic are grabbing the bull by the horns, and they know as a business model. We all know the business model at Celtic. It's to get them in, turn them over within 18 months to 2 years. It seems now that Celtic are thinking a bit more long term than that. They're obviously looking at players that they can come in and they can get that immediate reaction from. First team players that can come in and make an immediate impact. Shin Yamada fits the bill. He fits the bill on two counts. One is valuation. The Chinese market is why more teams aren't picking out the Japanese market is unbelievable. I said Chinese there, didn't I? Japanese market is valued at around about €900,000 for a centre forward. That's an unbelievable price, and I think that's what makes him an interesting option for Celtic, because they know if they can turn him into a Kyogo Mark II. Doesn't even do a Kyogo. If he can get the same service as Kyogo and he's got the physicality, which is better than Kyogo, and he's not got that dodgy shoulder. I tell you, I don't know how Kyogo's managed to pass 2 medicals in the last 6 months. Teams are raiding Japan now. I don't know how Kyogo's managed to pass a medical the last 2 months, because he seemed to have an awful lot of issues with his shoulder at Celtic. Or there's something I never thought about. Was that just to get out of Celtic? Was Kyogo playing on the fact with his shoulder issue? Because Yamada's a lot faster than Maeda. He fits the bill through the middle then, doesn't he? I mean, he is an out-and-out striker. Dane Murray is the best backup cover. He can play left or right. He's been through the Scotland teams when he was 17. The boy's injury-free. Watch this space. I said at the end of last season that Dane Murray could be the one to come in and take the place from Liam Scales and Austin Trusty. I think that he is certainly one to watch. And it depends if Brendan Rodgers goes, no, we're going to put him out on loan. It's a big summer for him. I said that at the end of last season. Never mind mainstream media guys pointing out everyone that I pointed out last year. Dane Murray is the one to watch this season. No one's faster than Maeda. Not yet. James Forrest was over the 10-yard mark. Kyogo needs shoulder pads and a crash helmet to play in the Championship. Who cares about Kyogo? He's gone. It's all about the next one that Celtic have been linked with a couple of weeks ago. And I think that the reason that he fits the bill for Celtic is, one, is his current valuation. £900,000, €1,000, sorry. And people will say, is Celtic going down the cheap road again? Well, it's not. It's not. If we're buying in a Japanese defender for 250 grand and then telling them you're not going into the first team, you're not going to be there the first team, we've bought you in. And is it a change from Brendan and the backroom staff with the whole project signing? Have they decided, yes, we still need to bring in project players, we need to bring in project players, but the project players, they have to understand that they have to go through the journey. They're coming in here as project players, but they're not walking into the first team. they may have to go out on loan to another team. Do you know, there will be a pathway, and it's all back to this pathway thing. And has there been a change in the thinking of how we run the business side of football? You know, it's not about just bringing them in and getting them into the first team straight away and then punting them on. Is it the change that we're bringing in and we're trying to build up the academy side of it? Build up the academy side of it so that coming to Celtic is now seen as a good option. It's where you could say over the last couple of years that going through the academy at Celtic, it's been good for training and facilities and, you know, the education side of it that you get, but the pathway into the first team is not there. Since Brendan Rodgers got Paul Tisdale into position, and I still think that Sean Maloney is way over. This is way below his pay grade. A pathway manager at Celtic's way below his pay grade. I mean, he could be manager of any team that he wanted in Scotland in the lower divisions. He can go out and get a job just like what Scott Brown did. But Celtic and Brendan Rodgers and Paul Tisdale have managed to convince him to come to Celtic in this pathway, looking at things going forward. And I just think that it's a very interesting concept that we're not getting all the information about. Kaiser said 5 projects, 5 first team starters. It's going to be a long window. Well, as it stands just now, we've only got in 2 first team starters. It's only Benji and Kieran Tierney. We've only brought in the 2, so there's a lot of people still to come into the club. You've missed that I wanted Big Mateus just to finish the song. Benji will cost us 78 million of his contract. Yeah, he was. And I've said that was a fantastic piece of business. Brilliant piece of business by the club. If he had 4 or 5 years on his contract, he was valued at 7 million or something. And if he didn't have only 6 months left of his contract, we would never have got him for 1.7 million. Never. Do you know? So anyway, I give better bonnets away to Peter Doherty than Paul Tisdale has. Gareth says, I've got a feeling that Benji is going to be spectacular, no pressure. Well, we need to see him in a game first of all. He didn't play the game the other night. I don't think he'll play in Ireland. I think once we get to the game in Portugal, well, I have said that, once we get to the game in Portugal, that's when you'll see Brendan Rodgers won't take all the young players to Portugal with him. He definitely won't take all the youngsters to Portugal, that's for sure. I'm just looking at Benji and his tartan strip. So Celtic have increased the players that are loaned out. It's just there's now Odom Ohm and Rocky. Rocky is loaned out till June next year, 30th of June next year, with that option to buy. I wish Celtic had just done it. You know, we'll loan you out till Christmas, and then the option to buy at Christmas. I think that the full season, you know, if he doesn't do 2, but then again, it was maybe Hanover that went, we'll give him the full season, and then we'll decide if we want to buy him. It's not an ideal situation for Celtic. I know it's an ideal situation for Rocky because he gets to go out, and then there's Odom Ohm who's out on loan until December this year, and he's a player that Celtic want to get back as well. I mean, when you look at it, we've still got in the front positions. Celtic haven't taken Nico Kuhn. Well, it's not a done deal yet, is it? The Nico Kuhn one isn't a done deal yet, so he's still there with the number 10 jersey. Who will get the number 10 jersey if he is sold? We need to bring in another one, I think. But anyway, you've got young Callum Osmond, who is in the first team squad. Marco Tilio, who's in the first team squad. Johnny Kenny. Those 3 players, I mean, I think Callum Osmond will stick around the first team. I think he's going to be the third choice. When you've got Lewis Palmer, he's going to be gone. So you're looking at Lewis Palmer. I think Johnny Kenny will go on loan. Marco Tilio, he may be used as a winger or backup winger this season. Nico Kuhn's gone. That's 4 from the front pack. That's 4 that could potentially be gone. And then there's Yang. I mean, there's the whole thing with Yang, but we digress anyway. Get back to the games. Obviously, after they head over to Ireland on Monday, so they were having the day off today, Celtic. They were having the day off. Brendan Rodgers was giving them the Sunday off. Good old Sunday off, because the players are coming into training tomorrow morning, and then they fly over to Cork, and then they've got the game on the Tuesday night, 7 o'clock kickoff in Cork. So that's going to be a fantastic game for that, and it'll be good to see what players he takes over. The younger players, I suggest, will not go to Portugal, because the 2 closed door games in Portugal is the ones that Brendan Rodgers will start to use and start to get in the tactics for the season. You know, the formations, the changes of formations, the players into positions that maybe like slight tactical changes. There will be a tactical change because Greg Taylor's not at the club anymore, and he will not be coming into that inside from the left position. So there will be some kind of tactical changes, and it'll be interesting over these 3 games, the one in Cork and then the 2 in Portugal, to see if we see any formation changes at Celtic. And then obviously you've got to come back to Celtic Park. You've got the Newcastle game, and then we head over to Italy to face Ajax. And if we beat Ajax, we play Como. So I want to beat Ajax anyway, because Ajax is just a club that today's poll, no, square sausage, Mick. That will never come back in. Brendan Rodgers won't sign a new contract, says Paul Baird. What do we do? What do we need to do with Cameron Sartor-Vickers? He's always picking up daft injuries. Do we bring in quality centre back in this window to fill the gap? That's an interesting one, because poll. Let me just do this one. That'll be interesting what you see with this. Right, let's do a poll. Oh, wrong window. Oh, not one. Right, there's your poll for a Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, walk in the park. Should Celtic loan out Johnny Kenny? Should Celtic loan out Johnny Kenny? Heard there's plans for Stadium Hotel. Going to have a massage parlour next to it. That's terrible, mate. That's terrible. That is just terrible. Anyway, should Celtic loan out Johnny Kenny? 32 votes on straight away, 33 votes. 55% say yes, 44% say no. Get Kenny on a new contract. I think Celtic will. I think it'll be one of those ones where I think that Celtic will put him on a new contract and then loan him out, so that he has that little bit of comeback, so that because his contract's only got this year to go, isn't it? He's only got this season to go. Yeah, he's out of contract. Johnny Kenny's out of contract the 31st of May next season. So if Johnny Kenny is going to go out on loan, he'll be given a contract extension. He will be given a contract extension, because there's no way. I mean, that's why Bolton come in with a bid of 500,000, because they know that Johnny Kenny is going into the last year of his contract. So there's all these things that need to be sorted out within the next couple of weeks. Because obviously Brendan Rodgers will look at him at the Shamrock Rovers game. Johnny Kenny will be one of the ones that goes over to Portugal for the 2 games. And then I think it'll be after the game in Portugal, Celtic will fly back either that evening. It'll be the next day. So Celtic will fly back the 17th. And then they've got a game on the 19th at Celtic Park. Can't see Celtic flying home during the night. Surely they'll let the guys get a decent sleep and then fly home on the 17th. And I think that the next 3 games are the games that Celtic are going to look. Brendan Rodgers will look at Johnny Kenny and say, right, where are you really at with your development? He is speaking to other clubs about putting him out on loan, but to put him out on loan, they will need to put him on another contract, because if you put Johnny Kenny out on loan and then it gets to December, gets to January, and he can speak to anybody, that's him, he's gone, isn't it? We've lost him for nothing. Lost him for absolutely nothing. I don't think Kenny will rush into a new contract. Does he really trust Brendan Rodgers? I think so. I think he trusts him. I know, Michelle, I'm early. I'm going in the pool straight after this video, so do you know what I mean? It's 4:10. It's 4:10. If we loan him out, he'll want to move after the loan. Hopefully he'll get... I think he really needs to be put on a new contract before we loan him out. And especially if we go out and buy Shin Yamada. Especially if we go out and buy him for 900 grand. Because if you go out and buy him and you put him straight into the team, I mean, what does that say to Johnny Kenny? Well, one thing, it says that he's a different type of striker. He's 2-footed and he's got a little bit more experience. But he is a player that will definitely, I think he'll definitely get a new contract. There's no way that Celtic are going to loan him out without giving him that new contract. And just by, there's an Irish publication just on a whole bit. What's going to be the best for him? Brendan Rodgers to study Johnny Kenny this pre-season before loan call. He's definitely playing in Ireland this week, according to this. So we'll wait and see. Right, I want to get this vote up to 100, the poll up to 100, and then we're going to finish that off. Then I'm going into the pool because it's fucking too hot. It's too hot to do anything. Too hot to do absolutely anything. Johnny Kenny. Yeah, he's definitely getting a new contract. "20 appearances, 2 goals. Saying that, I mean, Yamada didn't have the best of seasons last season. His stats the season before were better than... It's only halfway. Is it halfway through the season? Starting 11. 52% minutes. It is a risk, isn't it? It's either Celtic are either going to go down this route and bring in this guy at just under £1 million, or they're going to go and spend 4 or 5 million trying to bring somebody in. You had a nap, siesta. What pub you playing pool at? I'm not playing pool in a pub. If Kenny has to be loaned out, surely it's got to make sense to loan him to another SPFL club. Yeah, it's halfway through the Japanese season, but they have a break for some reason, don't they? Would you put Johnny Kenny out to another SPFL club? Would that make him better? I'm not too sure. Community tab, I'll jump on here, Scotty boy, after this. Yeah, all the Irish players are going to play, and a few of the younger lads. Brendan Rodgers already said that some of the older players are not going to, that some of the more experienced players will not play in Ireland. I mean, looking at the squad, Ben J.N. teams. Is Lewis Palmer back in training yet? I never seen Lewis Palmer in the training pictures. Seen Marco, but I never seen Lewis Palmer. And then there's Alistair Johnson to come back. Nakamura. That's because he's got Nakamura's number, 25. Inamura is in the team squad. He's in the team squad, but Brendan Rodgers doesn't see him in and around the first team. It's an interesting one, that. It is an interesting one. Anyway, how are we doing with the poll? We're going to finish the poll up. It would make sense to learn about the way that Scottish teams play. I don't think that Celtic see that as the main ambition for them. I think they want is, if they put them to somewhere down in England, it gives them a bit more. You're trying to get them some top level experience, so that you put them abroad at a team, or probably on holiday after that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, Isaac, that was this morning's video, but I think that he fits the bill for Celtic. He does fit the bill, and I think that he's better than Louis Palmer. I do think he's better than Louis Palmer. It's going to be the year of the Tillio. Do you think so? You think it's going to be the year of the Tillio? Yeah, it could be the year of the Marco, the year that Marco comes in. Marco was good when he played a couple of games at Celtic when he was here, before he went back out on loan. He had some good touches. Do you know, he was quick-feeted. And he had 2 quick feet. It would be interesting to see him in some of the pre-season friendlies. If we put Kenny out on loan, then sign youngsters, it makes no sense at all. Well, it does, because the youngsters that we've signed, you're obviously thinking of the young guy Osmond. He's not going to be a first team choice. Do you know, he's here to blend into the team. I mean, there's going to be times that this guy's not even getting on the bench. Celtic see Johnny Kenny as a long-term replacement for Adam Ida, and it's how to nurture that. It's how to nurture it. There's no use if you play. Look at it this way: if we play Dyson Maeda as a striker, and if we play Adam Ida as a striker, you've then got one of them's going to be on the bench, right? Because the way that Celtic play, you're only playing one striker through the middle. You're not going to have 2 strikers on the bench, because it takes up an outfield player position for someone else. And Brendan Rodgers never does that. He never puts 2 strikers on the bench, because there's no need. If you put a striker on the bench, it means that you're a midfielder down. You're a defender down. He usually plays And defenders that are usually on the bench would either be Stephen Welsh, Tony Ralston. They're ones that are always on the bench. If Trusty's on the bench, Stephen Welsh isn't on the bench. So you've got to look at that. Gustav Lagerbielke can't get near the bench. Your back four is going to be Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Kieran Tierney, and as it stands, Austin Trusty. And Austin Trusty will fight it out with Liam Scales. So the ones that are going to be on the bench is you might get Lagerbielke, Ralston, Welsh maybe. Welsh only. I don't think Welsh will stay at Celtic. I think that he'll go. I don't want to stay another season and just get the free ticket to the Champions League games. When it comes to the midfield, Kwon's not getting anywhere near Celtic. I mean, Kwon's not better than Luke McCowan. Arne Engels is your midfield. Rio Hatate is your midfield, and Callum McGregor. So that's your midfield three. Unless Brendan Rodgers changes it to a 4-2-3-1, and then what that does is it brings Callum McGregor and say Luke McCowan, or Callum McGregor and Paulo Bernardo is the sitting two holding midfield players. That allows you to then have Rio Hatate, Arne Engels, and say James Forrest, for giving them that bit of width, or Luke McCowan, and then it gives you the one up front, and you've got a lot of people fighting for positions for that one up front. So I don't know. Brendan Rodgers has got his work cut out. That is for sure. 109 votes. I was meant to cut it off at 100. Interesting one. Should we loan Johnny Kenny out? 57% say yes. 44. It's just changed. 46% say yes. 44%. 43. It's just changed. 111. What an excellent number to finish on. Who's this player? This player is Shin Yamada. He's been linked with Celtic a couple of times, and I think that he could be the replacement. And the road that Celtic go down as a replacement for Kyogo Furiashi, because I think that Celtic are getting their arse scalped when it comes to bringing in players. Kwon retiring from football to start his own plant-based branded food. No, he's not. How long is Hatate out for? He's back this week. Said Brendan Rodgers. Johnny Kenny isn't getting game time, just loan him out and help his career get back on track. But if you do loan him out, you need to get him in the full... You need to... Fuck, who cares about them? You need to get him on an extended contract, because Johnny Kenny's contract runs out in exactly a year's time. Anyway, it was just a quick live today. Happy Sunday, Baz. Hope you're all good. Yep, Lorna, thank you. I'm all good. I'm away to dive in the swimming pool. On that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.